Hey guys, so welcome to Recraft Relic channel. And as you guys know, the whole India is in complete lockdown. So I am today, I'm going to stream from my home. So I have this setup, and we're going to stream from home today. And today we are going to talk about Flexbox. And yeah, so let's just get started without further ado. And yeah, so I hope with all this situation, you guys are guys are doing good. But yeah, let's get started. So basically, today we are going to basically talk about Flexbox, and let me start by telling you what Flexbox actually is. Right, so basically Flexbox is a CSS property. It's a box system that allows you to uh, create layouts for your for your websites in a easy way, basically, right? If you want to center some elements, if you want to move them to the first or second, you can easily do them, basically, right? So let's get started and let's just create an example, and let's just see how that works out. So I have a simple HTML here, and I'm just going to create a simple HTML document. HTML head, we don't need the head, but let it be there. Then we have the body, right? And in the body, we are going to write a basically our code. So inside body, I'm going to write a div with a class called flex, right? And now let's write some. Let's open this firstly. Let's open this in the browser. Yeah, let's open that. Right, we can't see anything right now, but yeah, well, we'll be able to see in a second. Okay, so now inside our head, I'm going to write some CSS. So the style tag here, right? And let's start writing a CSS. So dot flex, I'm going to give this a background color red, so we are able to see the flex box, basically. And I'm going to give it display flex. So I'm going to discuss about display flex in a second, but yeah, I'm going to do a display flex. If I'm going to reload, it's not going to show anything because our div doesn't have any width or height. So I'm going to give it a width of 100 pixel and height of 100 pixel. Save, reload. You can see the box. Okay, so now let's make it a bit big. Let's make it 400 and height to be 200. Okay, so it is something like this. So now this box is basically a flex box, because its display property is flex, and now inside it we can use some flex properties. All right, so first, for example, if imagine that it is not a flex box. Okay, so imagine it's not a flex box. I'm going to create 3 div inside it. Okay, and these one sec. So this divs I have a class flex child, and all of these flex child have a property, or they have a background color green, and height to be 50, for example. All right, and let's make their width to be 100 pixel for now. Okay, if I go here, oops, yeah, right? Let's give me a margin from the top let's give a margin from everywhere, 5 pixel, right? And yeah, so you can basically see the the three boxes that we have created. But because the div is a normal div, not like the parent div is a normal div, not a flex div. All of these divs are basically stacked vertically. So this is the flex, because every div is by a default have a display of block. It will take the whole space available to it. So you can see it is taking the whole space here, it is taking the whole space, and here it is taking the whole space. But what if we want to you know uh, stack them side by side, right, and at a equal length? All right, so there we can use display flex. So for example, if I remove display flex here in the parent, if I reload this, you can see they basically get stacked like this. The reason they are getting stacked at like this is there is a property called flex direction, right, which is by default row. Okay, so whenever you give a display flex to a flex box like a div, then it kind of becomes it kind of says that this div is basically now flexed, and the all of these children will act according to these flex properties. So one of the flex properties is flex direction. So what flex direction do is that it stacks all of your elements in a row like this, and this is a row. So if I go here and I say column, then it stack everything like this. All right, so if you by default it's row, so all of your children element of a flex box div are going to be stacked like in a row. Okay, so let's keep it a row for now, right? So you can see they are stacked like this in a row. But now what I want to have equal space between them. All right, so how are we going to do it? In normal CSS, we have to find a margin, give them like a static width, like static margin between them and all that. So but here what we have to do, we have to do justify content, and we have to say space between. And when we say space between, this happens, right? So even if the size of the box increases, for example, if I go here and I say if I increase the size, you can see the space increasing by itself. So you don't have to worry about how much space you need to put there. It's going to take the exact amount of space between the which is needed between the the children's basically. So this is justify content. When you justify content space between, you can give them space between the different child, right? Okay, so now there are different property for justify content. So one is space between, the second is flex start. So what flex start do is it stack all of your element at the start, which is by default by default is always flex start. So all of your elements start from the start, which is like most of the time which is left side. But now what do you want to do? You want to stack all of your elements in to the right side. For example, you have a notification, right, and you want to show it at the top right corner of the window. What you're going to do is, instead of flex start, you're going to say flex end, right? And if you reload, you can see all of the elements moved here. If it is not a flex box, if you have to do it without flex box, then it will be a nightmare. You have to either give all of this element absolute positioning and then move all of them to the right side. But with Flexbox, it's just easy. You can just go there and you just say flex and all of these move to the side basically. So now, I think you're pretty clear about the flex start and the flex end. There are other properties as well. So there is space around. So you have seen space between. What space between do is it gives space between the elements. So for example, if you have a first element, it will be stacked to the leftmost corner. If you have a right element, it's going to be stacked to the right end corner, and the space will be between them, right? So now instead of space between, we are going to do space around. And what space around do is this, it's going to, so we also have a margin here. Let's remove the margin to correctly signify this. So now what it basically do is that it basically give you even space from all the areas, basically how much area that it can basically give around, right? So for example, this, right? So this is the flex and this is the flex child, and what it's doing, it's spacing around all as well and between as well. So it's not just between, it's around as well. So in case if I to differentiate between, let's create a new div, which will be much more easier for us. So this is flex. I'll create a flex 1, and here what I'm going to do is flex 1 here, and yeah. So now we have two div. I'm going to put some margin from every side, right? Here as well. Okay, so now instead of space around, I'm going to give space between here, and you can see the difference, right? Now if you this is space around basically, and this is space between. So in the space around, you can see the space around the elements as well, the children's as well, right? But in this space between, you can see that there is no space outside the like not at the outside, but like at the end of the elements, at the farmost and the at the furthermost basically. So there is no space there, right? Let's create a new div again to specify other properties. So now actually, you know what, let me do one thing. I don't want to copy paste all of this again and again. So what I'm going to do is this dot flex dot space around, and this thing I'm going to do a dot flex dot space between, and this will be flex, right? So now I have flex, I have space around, right? And then I have space between as well. All right, so now I will load. Great. Space around. Oh, this need to be space. This need to be between. All right, so now, so this is a normal flex, right? I'm just going to give it a normal flex. So now I want to demonstrate a new property called, so for example, let's try it out here, right? So I want to try a new property in the justify content. So a new thing you can give it is a center. So when you do justify content center, what it basically do is it moves all of your children to the center, right? Your children can have margins and all that, right? So for example, right now I don't have a margin, so they are like stick together. But if I give a like margin of 10 pixel here, and reload this, so, and if I go here now, if I give it like justify content center, so what justify content is going to do, it's going to move all of your element to the center, right? No space between them, no nothing, just move them to the center basically. All right, so this is justify content center. You can also do there are other properties as well. Flex start, flex end, you already seen, right? uh, yeah, I mean, the like I don't want to like overwhelm you with the information right now, so I'm just going to uh, talk about a selected bit of properties which are like very important to the beginners who are working with the Flexbox. So the properties that we just talked about for the justify content is space around. So in the space around, you can see the the space around all the element. It try to give space around all the element. Here you can see this is space between. So right now you're getting this space because of the margin here. If I remove the margin here, in the child, you can see that it doesn't give any space from the right or left side. It just gives space between the elements. And then this is supposed to be justify content center. So if I give justify content center, you can see all of the children's move to the center. So this is justify content, which moves your element which moves your element basically horizontally from one place to another and all that. There is another property which you can provide to a box with flex display, which is align items. All right, and align items is responsible for moving your element vertically inside the box. Okay, so for example, if I say, by default it's flex start, but if I say flex end in here, this will happen. All right, so what happened is basically you said that in my Flexbox align all the items from the end. So vertically all of them will start from bottom because that's the end for that box, right? You can say flex start, which is like the same as this, right? Like by default what is there. So right, and then there is center. So what basically center do, as you guessed, it's going to move all the elements to the center. All right, so basically if you want to vertically center something, you can use align items, or if you want to move them to the bottom, for example, you are showing a toast at the bottom, or if you are showing a bar at the bottom, you can always use this property align items to move them to the bottom basically. Or if you're showing a button and at the bottom of the form or something like that, which is like a fixed form. So that is that. And all right, so that is that. The other thing which is very important that I want to talk about, so for example, if you want to center an element from all the sides, for example vertically and horizontally, then in that case what you just have to do is this. Let's create a new class called center from all sides. So what you can do is you can horizontally center it, and you guessed it, it will be justify content center, and then you can say align item center, which will vertically center them, right, from a vertical point of view. So now I'm going to use this class. I'm going to go here, right, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to give this one the class. And if I go here, you can see basically all the items, they are here in this div. Basically all the items are vertically aligned as well, or like vertically centered aligned, and also horizontally centered aligned, right? But there is a twist to all of this, and which is the flex direction. So all of these properties work this way if your flex direction is row, which is by default row. So even if you don't give a flex direction row, it's always going to be like this. But then there is an interesting thing which happens if you do this. So if you go here and if you say let's create a new class called columns, right, columns direction, and we'll give it a flex direction column, right? If I do this and I go here in this scenario, and if I reload it, you can see this. So Now when you change the direction, if you change the direction from row to column, the axis basically get flipped. So now justify content is responsible for vertically aligning the items, and align items is responsible for um, horizontally aligning the item. Okay, so for example, if you look at this thing, I said space between, right, and align items. So here I have for all the flex boxes I have done align item center. So what is happening, that vertically it is going centered, because align items, when the flex direction is row, is going to vertically align the items. And justify content, because it is space between, it's basically what horizontally aligning the item, and giving space between. But if I give it, if I go and I give it the, I change this direction to columns, this will happen. So now align items is horizontally centering elements, and the space between, like the justify content, vertically handling the element. So basically the x and y axis is getting flipped basically, so it's basically get flipped to a certain angle, right? So now justify content is doing what align item is supposed to do, and align items is doing what justify content is doing. So, and it is like the most confusing thing. So I'm not sure if I'm able to explain it properly, but yeah, this is what it is, right? So this is, there are other kind of direction that you give, that you can give. Let's try them out. Let me give these numbers. One sec. So you can see 1 2 3 here, I guess. Right, let me increase the font size. Font size to 20 pixel, and color to white. I guess that will be much more visible, I guess. Yeah, that's much more visible. Or we can just give it a flex thing, and it will be fine, I guess. So give it a flex, give it a flex, give this one a flex as well, and then center all the element, right? Center from all sides. Yeah, so you can see how easy it is to like center elements and everything. And the best thing is that it's responsive as well. For example, if I go here, right, and increase the height or something, so for example, if I make the height 600 pixel, it's accordingly give proper space between them. And if I going to increase the width to like 400 pixel, or keep increasing it, you can see it is automatically centering the element as well, right? So now let's talk about different column direction that you can give. So for example, flex direction column, right? So now I can also give it column reverse, and this is like really cool thing, so if you do column reverse, and as the name suggests, it is going to reverse the columns, reverse all the child. So 3 will be at the place of 1, and the 1 will be place of the 3. So if I go here and do this, you can see 3 2 1, instead of 1 2 3 is 3 2 1. And that is very beneficial, right? Because sometimes in the desktop you want to show the like an image element at the top, and the text element at the bottom, but in the mobile you want to change that, you want to reverse the columns basically. There you can use this basically, right? If you want to conditionally reverse anything, you don't have to actually change the HTML structure, you can just use this, and you'll be good to go, right? So let me create one another item to just so you can give as many as children you want to give, and it will automatically according to that give the spacing and all that. Right now it is not able to give space because there is no space to give, because the height is like totally filled. But if I increase the height of the the height of the box here to 600, I guess it will be fine. I guess it will be fine. Yeah, So it's good. Not 6, it's too much, I guess. Let's give it 4, right? But you can see, all the elements flipped. So 4, 3, 2, 1. If I remove the column reverse here, right, then it will be 1, 2, 3, 4 again, right? Same goes for row. So if I say that this is a row, right, all the elements going to stack like this. I'm going to increase the width to 6, right? So all the items going to be like stacked like this, right? But if I do a row reverse, then this will happen. The first element will go at the furthermost, and the last element will come at the first, basically. So you basically reversed everything. All right, so that is that. These are the directions, like which are like the most important directions. Now I'm going to talk about another property called flex grow. All right. So for example, you don't want your element to give widths, right? Like this. I don't want to give it width, So it is by default taking everything, because the flex direction. One second. I don't want this, right? And also remove this for now. We don't need this because I want to show you something. So right now there is no width, right? But what I want to do is I want to equally divide the width between all of the elements, right? So what I can do, so now instead of giving the property to the flex box itself, we are going to give it to the children. So children can have different properties, but we are going to talk about only 2 properties, which is flex grow and align self. So flex grow, what flex grow does is, if you do this, then this will happen. All right, and why it is happening is because of this. So in the flex box, what we are telling that flex child will take one portion. So when we say that it takes one portion, that means that every item will take one portion, and the flex box will have 4 portion now, and everyone will be equally divided, right? So for example, let's do this. So flex child dot grow 1 will, so let's do this here. So I'm going to say flex grow 1, all right, and I remove everything else from here, right? And then I'm going to go, the reason it's not working because I haven't given it the property. So here I'm going to do this, and can you see this? So the thing is, now one thinks that all of the other children doesn't have a flex grow property, so I'm going to grow until all of the elements are like stacked together, like there is no space to grow, basically. But let's solve that, and let's do this dot grow 2, and then we are going to flex grow 2 here, and let's do one thing. Let's give them different colors, background colors as well, because it's very hard to determine between them. So background color will be, one will be yellow, right, and one will be green, which is fine. So, and grow 2 here. So what I'm going to do is this, grow 1 and grow 2. All right, and its color, because it's yellow and we are not able to see that, so its color will be black. Okay, so now have a look at this. So now what is happening, we are saying all of the element with the property flex grow 1 will take 1 portion, and all of the other elements with the property grow 2, it's going to take 2 like 2 portions. So total there will be 1 2 1 2, right? Because now let's rename them for easier understanding, because now this takes 1 portion, this takes 2 portion, this take 1 portion, this take 2 portion. So right, so it's like 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2, basically they have 6 portions. So flex can be dynamically divided basically, right? So flex doesn't, like if you have worked with bootstrap and all that, they have like a 12 grid thing. If you have worked with a semantic, they have like 24 grid, and you can specify how many grid element will take, right? In the case of Flexbox, you actually don't have to define anything. You define the grow property in the children's, and it automatically will divide the Flexbox according to this, according to those flex grow properties. So if I say one child is 1, then it's going to take 1 portion. If second child is 2, then it's going to take the 2 portion. And if we don't define a flex grow property, it's not going to take any portion. It's just going to take the minimum portion it can take, right? So this is Flexbox. Basically it helps you divide different elements. So for example, if you want to show something in like half and half, so you can just say 1 by 1, and 1 by 1 means that let me remove these. I don't want this to. So now you can see they are equally divided, because there is 1 portion plus 2, and every the whole div has 2 portion, and every div is taking 1 and 1 portion, which are like two divs basically. If I say that the first div will take 3 portion, then this will happen. It will take the 3/4 of it, right? If I say that it will take 9 portion, then it will take 9 portion out of 10, and 1 portion will give one to the other element. So it's very beneficial when you want to create like stacked side by side side by side layouts. Okay, so now there is the last property that I want to talk about, and which is flex basis. Not flex basis, that's for another video, but align self. So let's see. Yeah, so let's go here and don't give them anything, right? Don't align them, right? And I say align self. It's a row direction, right? I'm going to remove the flex properties for now, because yeah, I'm going to give them width. Okay, and I say grow to align self to flex, and so this is what happens basically. So because align item, right now the flex direction is row, right? So everything which uses align is going to be vertically aligned, and when I say align items to the parent, it's going to align everything out. For example, if I say align items flex end, then it's going to align everything to the end. But what if I don't want to align everything to the end, right? I don't want everything to be aligned at the end, and I'm going to say align item flex not flex start, like center, right? So they need to be like all the elements should come to the center, but right now they will not, because for a specific child, what I say that align yourself to the flex end, and it's very important distinction that we have to make, that this property is a child property, it will not be added to the Flexbox parent. Flexbox parent controls everything, but align self and flex grow is controlled by the children. How they want to be basically how they want to be structured throughout the UI. So here what I say, align self to the flex end. So the second element goes to the end, and the first element stays at the center, because the parent says that, I want all of my children to the, in the center, but align self overrides that for the children. I can do flash start here. I go here, it goes to the flex start or goes to the above, and I can say center, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. So here I'm going to end the video, but I'm just going to recap through everything that we have learned. So we have learned about the, that if you give the give a div or display flex, it becomes a flex box. And now you can give it special properties like justify content. Justify content when the flex direction is row, right? Justify content is responsible for aligning the items horizontally, and align items is responsible for aligning the item vertically. Okay, the possible values that you can give to justify content is space around. In case of space around, basically this happens, the space around all the elements come. If you give it space between, this happens basically, where the space is not around but between the elements, right? And if you give it a line, like if you give it center, then it's going to justify all of the elements horizontally centered. You can also give flex start, which is by default, all of your element move to start, which is the left side, and all of your elements, if you give it flex end, all of your element will be moved to the end, which is like the right side. Okay, again, then there is align items. Inside align items, you are going to vertically align the items. So you can give it a flex end, which is like that at the bottom. You can give it flex start, which is at the top, and then you can give it the center, which is basically aligning the item centers. If you give flex direction as a column, then the axis gets flipped. So now justify content is responsible for aligning the items vertically, and align items is responsible for aligning the items horizontally. Then there you can give two more flex direction, which is row reverse and column reverse. In case you do row reverse, all of your children will be reversed. So if the order is 1 2 3 4, then it will become 4 3 2 1. Same goes for column. If the column is 1 2 3 4, it will become 4 3 2 1, right? Then we talked about flex grow and align self. Flex grow and align self are children properties, they are not parent properties. So align self basically going to tell how a children is going to be aligned. If it doesn't want to respect the property provided by the Flexbox parent, it can align itself wherever it want, either at the start, either at the end, or either at the center. And flex grow basically help you divide the Flexbox into different columns. So if you give flex grow 1 and to one children, and if you give flex grow 2 to a different children, then the first children will take 1 by 2 space, and the second will 1 by 3 space basically, and the second will take 2 by 3 space, 2 by 3 space basically. So that is pretty much the beginner guide to the Flexbox. There is a lot of advanced concept, lot of advanced techniques that we can discuss about Flexbox, but for a starter, this is what I had to present. So if you guys have any comments, if you have any questions, I'm not sure if I did a very good job of explaining it, but if I didn't, I will be very much interested in explaining it back in different videos and different advanced techniques that I want to discuss about Flexbox. And yeah, that is pretty much it. And I'll just say, stay safe. The situation is very crazy right now in the country, so I'll just say stay safe, keep your family safe, and yeah, let's meet on next Saturday. I'll be streaming on next Saturday, and yeah, bye.